So next up we've got the Star Wars movies, and first off we've got the originals, episode 4, 5 and 6, big like compilation thing, it's got all of them on here. I got this for my birthday one year, because I actually didn't have these on DVDs. I feel like it took me a while to actually watch these movies properly. Like obviously I knew what happened in them, and I obviously loved them and that, but yeah, only the last few years ago I actually went and watched them all the way through. And yeah, these are the best Star Wars movies, like obviously Empire Strikes Back is the best one. They're all really good movies and that. Yeah, nothing. Again, what else do you want me to say? It's Star Wars. Star Wars is great. Everything. Let's go for the ones that I'm probably going to have more to talk about, and that's the prequel movies. Episodes 1, 2, and 3. Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith. I don't care. I have a soft spot for these movies. Yeah, they're not very good, but I like them. Like, I feel like with the sequel movies, they've been a lot more like looked upon more not fairly, like more nicely now with how badly the sequel trilogy is. Like, don't worry, there's no sequel movies in this collection series. I don't have any of those films, but I feel like people look more fondly on this now. Well, for two reasons. One, people who grew up with them are now adults and they have fond memories of them, and also the sequel movies just sucked. If you like them, good for you, but like I could get into them. But yeah, again, all three of the movies in there. Again, similar to the original trilogy when I got this for my birthday one year, and yeah, it was just nice to have them on a DVD set. Obviously with the Disney Plus I don't really need them anymore, but it's more of those I like to just have them. Like same with the MCU movies and a lot of other movies that I still get on DVD. It's like, yeah, they'll probably go on like Netflix or Disney Plus in the future, but it's more just having them as a copy, because you never know when. We just saw recently with all those things that keep getting taken off of streaming services that you never know when they're going to leave. So, or make sure to get a DVD of something you really like, because if it does go off of streaming, you've still got a way to watch it. You know, that's all I'll say about that. Yeah, so that's all the Star Wars movies. Next up, Back to the Future. I love this movie. I love this film. I've got the other Back to the Future movies. We'll do those in a minute, but yeah, this is the first one. I think this one probably is the best. Me and Mum went to see the musical last year. Yeah, last year, and that was really fun as well. That was really good. But yeah, this movie is just like, it's a classic for a reason. Like it probably is the best one. You know, I kind of like 2 a bit more. Like I guess I've got 2 here as well. Yeah, I'll just do all 3 of them now because they are kind of that. Yeah. Back to the Futures 1, 2, and 3. I think they're all good movies. 3 is probably the weakest, but it's still quite fun. I remember at the time I thought 2 was the best one, but I think looking back on it, the first one is the best one. I just really liked the concept of 2. You know, going to the future, which isn't the future anymore because it was 2015, which is quite fun. And then but then I like how they sort of go back to the first movie, and it's more of a they have to like. It's just, I like the idea of having to go back in time and like stop someone from changing the past, and I think that's just a really fun concept, and I think this one did it really well, and I really liked all the future jokes and all that. Yeah, all 3 of these movies are great. Hollywood, don't make another one. No, it's like seriously, I can live in a world where we get no more Back to the Future movies. Maybe you could do an adaptation of the musical. That would be kind of fun. And if you're going to do that, make sure it's actually specified it's a musical. Don't do what you did with the Mean Girls movie, where it was like it's like a reboot, but it's actually an adaptation of the musical. But we're not going to mention that in the marketing because that might scare people off. But then people got annoyed because it was a musical. Yeah, that was stupid, Hollywood. You guys make some dumb decisions sometimes. But yeah, all these movies are fantastic. If you have never seen Back to the Future, you are super missing out. These movies are brilliant. Yeah. And now we've got the Muppet Collection. First up, the original Muppet movies. This was the very first one that was made, I believe. Yes, this is like a sort of a... I guess you could say like it's a prequel to the Muppet series. Like it's the reveal of how the Muppets became like successful and that. Obviously like in a like fake way and that. But it's really fun. Like the Muppets are just wonderful. This one's a really fun movie. I really do like this film. It's nice seeing like all the characters together, like them meeting all of the characters and all that. And like we've got the start of the movie where they're actually like watching the movie, and that's fun. Like it's just nice to see them all in a film. Like it upsets me that the Muppets aren't being used to their full potential lately, and Disney really wish they would do it. But yeah, this movie's fun. I love this movie. Yeah. Next up, another movie I really like, Great Muppet Caper. This one's super underrated. I feel like people don't give this one enough praise. I think I will the Muppet movies. This one might be my second favourite. I just really, really like it. I just love so like this was back when Muppets movies were like actual like original stories that had Muppets in them. So like in this one, I think it's like, oh yes, the joke was like Kermit and Fozzie are like identical twin brothers, which is just really funny. Like when like. So they can't tell them apart. They've got their hats on. That's just a really funny concept. That they're identical twins but look so different. And I love like the whole bit with like the cable. It's been a while since I've seen this, but I definitely remember enjoying it a lot. I think John Cleese is in this movie actually. Yeah, like because they're in London and there's like a scene randomly where John Cleese is in it, which is quite fun. I didn't know he was in a Muppet. But actually, he's in a. Is it? I think he's in an episode of the Muppet Show actually. Oh, I might have to watch that one. Yeah, this one's really fun. If you haven't seen this one, I absolutely recommend it. Not much about this one. Muppet Takes Manhattan. I haven't actually finished this one yet. I remember I watched it once and I got halfway through and I guess I just wasn't really feeling it at the time. That's not to say it's bad. I think it was just like I wasn't in the mood for Muppets at that point, which is strange because there's always Muppets. But you're always in the mood for Muppets. But yeah, I need to watch this one again at some point. But yeah, from what I watched, it was quite fun. Here we go. Here's the best one. Muppets Christmas Carol. Like, of course, Muppets Christmas Carol. It's the best Christmas movie ever. It just is every year. Every year I watch this, and you can't not because it's just so beautiful and it's so brilliant. And Michael Caine as Scrooge is so well done. It's like I think it almost works because they take it seriously. Like obviously you got the comedy bits with Rizzo and Gonzo, but it's like which I just realized aren't on the cover, which is kind of weird. Even though they're like a big part of the film, they're not here. But I think that's also why it works is that they take it seriously. Like if this was like I don't know, random example, if this was like Family Guy, it would obviously be like a very obvious like joke and that. But like no, the fact that they've got Michael Caine there he plays it just completely straight. Like I don't think he makes a single joke in the movie, but it works because that works for his character and all that. And I think that's why this one works so well. Because yeah, you got your comedy bits with the Muppets and all that, but they take the story seriously. And I almost feel like that's what Muppets should be doing more, is that doing these stories where they do their own versions of them. Like that's why I feel like Disney's missing the point of like Haunted Mansion. The Haunted Mansion episode they did on Disney Plus was alright. I didn't like the Electric Mayhem TV show. I watched like 2-3 episodes of it, and I really got annoyed by the end of it I really got really annoyed halfway through because I think they focused way too much on like the human characters, and I don't like that in Muppet Projects. Like I know in this one he kind of like that, but I guess it's different because again with the way Scrooge is, it just makes sense for him to be human, I guess. But the Muppet characters still have enough to do here. But yeah, like more stuff like this, which similarly, Muppets Treasure Island. Yeah, not as good as Christmas Carol. I watched this for the first time a few years ago. I can't really remember much about it. It's got Tim Curry in it, so you know it's good. In fact, there's actually a fun story about Tim Curry in this movie. Did you know that because of this movie, Tim Curry had to turn down playing the Doctor in Doctor Who? No, genuinely. So you remember the Doctor Who movie, the one where Paul McGann plays the Doctor? Apparently they originally approached Tim Curry to do it. Yeah, and Tim Curry was actually up for it. He said he wanted to do it, but due to scheduling, because he had to film this, he couldn't do it, so they did Paul McGann instead. To think we nearly lived in a world where Tim Curry played the Doctor. Oh man, like that. It sucks that we didn't get that. I mean, nothing against Paul McGann. He's a really good Doctor and like probably an underrated one. But to think we could have lived in a world where Tim Curry played Doctor Who. Yeah, that's a shame that we didn't get that. Last up for the Muppets section, Muppets Most Wanted. I don't have the original Muppets movie, like the remake that came out in 2011, which is a shame because I really like that movie. Was it 2011 that one came out? Christ, that was so weird. Like time is a relative, you know. Like that movie came out so long ago, and I remember when it was new. Like that was the year. That was of course when they were trying to reboot the Muppets, I guess, and it worked for a bit. And then this movie came out and it underperformed because I think it didn't this come out around the same time as like another big... I think it was Hunger Games or something. It came out like the same week as Hunger Games or something, and nope, so because of that everyone just watched it. And people, from what I can gather, people don't like this movie, and I don't get why. I love it. I think it's really fun. Yeah, the great, obviously, thing of then Constantine stealing Kermit's identity, that's fun. And, like, the only animal's the only one who knows, and that. I like Ricky Gervais in it. I think people really don't like Ricky Gervais in this movie. I think he's really fun. I think he's really funny. He does well. Ty Burrell was quite funny as the guy with Sam the Eagle, which is good. Sam the Eagle's one of my favourite Muppets because he shares my name. I don't really like the Tina Fey stuff, like the bit in the prison. I feel like maybe that's where it falls if that bit falls flat for me a little bit. I think mostly because like they randomly like have her be in love with Kermit. It feels like it just comes out of nowhere. Like there was no build up to it, and apart from that, but like yeah, the prison stuff still got some good stuff there. Danny Trejo's there, and he's always funny. I like there's actually like a quite heartwarming story about Danny Trejo in that movie, in the filming for this film. It was, I think it was like his mother had just passed away whilst they were filming, or like had just passed away like a few weeks ago or something, and he was like sort of didn't want to show emotion because he's like this, he likes to be a hard man and that, but then like Kermit's actor actually spoke to him as Kermit, and then he sort of broke down, and it was just like that's just a sweet story that you like to hear, that you know Kermit the Frog was allowed to sort of almost allowed Danny Trejo to sort of open up, which was really cool. But yeah, if you haven't seen this movie, I definitely give it a go, and the 2011 one that came out as well. But yeah, this was unfortunately the last Muppet movie that they ever made. Obviously, they've made a couple of Disney Plus specials, but this was the last one they ever did, which is a shame. It's a shame, like I said, underperformed at the box office, and it's Muppets they've been Disney have royally screwed up the Muppets. They really, really need to do more with them. Oh yeah, and one more thing, fun thing. The guy who played Constantine, I think his name's Matt Vogel. He now voices Kermit, which is just kind of a funny thing of like the guy who played fake Kermit is now playing real Kermit, which it was a shame about the whole thing that happened with the Kermit's voice. Steve Whitmire, I believe his name is. Like it's they kind of screwed him over a bit, and that was really annoying what they did with him, because it felt like he was actually cared about the character of Kermit, and then he wanted to get some scenes changed because he felt like it didn't fit with Kermit, and then he was sort of fired. It's this thing you see here a lot in Hollywood, where it's like if an actor sort of actually cares about their character and then tries to get stuff changed to be in line, then they're labeled as difficult. I mean, the same thing with Henry Cavill with Witcher. He was labeled, and it was Jenna Ortega for Wednesday as well. She like actually changed lines because she didn't think Wednesday would say them, and then she was labelled as difficult because of it. And it's like, well, the fact that Wednesday ended up becoming a success should tell you that she did the right decision. Hollywood execs, they can be stupid sometimes. And last bit for this part, I'm going to just refer to this as the British section, so all the movies that are like British oriented. So first off, Casino Royale, only James Bond movie I've got. So I actually had never seen a James Bond movie until I saw the last one. Was it No Time to Die? Yeah, I took my dad to see that one because he loves James Bond. James Bond is sort of his thing, and he wanted to go and see the new one, so I took him to see it. Yeah, really good. So I wanted to again go and watch Casino Royale because this is the one everyone says is really good, and yeah, I think it's great. It is the best one. Yeah, Daniel Craig probably is the best James Bond. I mean, I guess it depends on like what kind of James Bond you want, because here's the thing what my dad says. My dad says that he likes these newer ones, the ones with Daniel Craig, because he believes them. He considers them to be like real movies. I don't really know what he means by that, but I guess like the older ones were maybe a bit different. Like, and I guess maybe that's why some people might not like the Daniel Craig stuff. Again, I've got nothing. I've got like no stake in that because my James Bond knowledge is this movie, No Time to Die, and GoldenEye on the N64. That's my James Bond knowledge in a nutshell. But yeah, this one's really good. I guess this is probably a good first movie to watch, and there's some fun scenes in it. I really like it. Oh, speaking of spy movies, Kingsman: The Secret Service. So I believe this is the first. Yeah, this is the first one. I haven't got the second one on DVD, but this is the original one. Yeah, I like this movie. This is a really clever, like, it's the perfect kind of spy parody, because it's a parody, but it also understands spy movies. So I think it's really, really fun. You obviously got Taron Egerton, I think is his name. This was kind of like I'd say like his breakout role, because this then led to him doing, what was it, the Elton John movie, and Eddie the Eagle, which is like a really surprisingly good movie. And I'm sure he's done a bunch of other stuff, but this was like sort of his beginning career. And you got some like really big actors in this, so that Colin Firth, obviously Michael Caine's back again. You got Samuel L. Jackson doing basically the exact opposite of every other Samuel L. Jackson movie, any other Samuel L. Jackson role, and yet it works. Like, it's so good. I think that's why it works, because it's such a Samuel L. Jackson role that he's used to, where like basically he plays the villain, but like he's like a really wimpy, nerdy villain. He's got like a lisp, and he like doesn't like violence and that. Like, it's so clever to the character wouldn't work as well if it wasn't played by Samuel L. Jackson. It's one of those like almost like stunt casting that works, whereas like it's the opposite of a typecast, where instead of like typecasting him as what he's usually known as the no nonsense like guy, you just make him a wimp, and it's just Really clever, really good, and yeah, really fun movie. I really like it. I actually like the sequel as well. Actually, weirdly enough, I actually saw the sequel first, and then I saw this film. I liked the sequel. I think if I went back to it, I'd be a little bit let down by it because I really hate how in the sequel they sort of kill off all the other Kingsmen in like the first scene. Because like this movie is all about like one of the Kingsmen dies, and the whole point is that they need to bring in a new Kingsman to replace, and the only person to replace them. Like Taron Egerton's character doesn't get that role. It's a woman. I can't remember her name, the character's name. But then in the first part of the second movie, she gets killed off like straight away, and it's like, oh, that kind of makes a big chunk of this movie kind of irrelevant now because you spent all this time like building up this one character, and then in the next movie she's dead straight away. Yeah, really silly about that. I know a lot of people don't like the second movie. I liked it. I really thought it was fun. And I didn't like the prequel though. What was it called? Just The Kingsman. I was a bit let down by that one. I don't know why. It's got some good moments in it, but I don't know. I didn't like it as much as these ones. And I didn't see Argyle, which is made by the same people, but it's like not a Kingsman movie. But I was excited for Argyle, but then I heard all the reviews, and it seemed like it was a massive letdown, which is a shame because I thought that could have been fun. But yeah, definitely watch Kingsman if you've never seen it. It's really fun. Oh, next up, Cornetto trilogy. So here we go. We got Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and World's End. So Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz are two fantastic movies. I love both of these films. I'll start with the controversial opinion, I guess. I think World's End kind of sucks. Like, not even just it's the most disappointing one of the It's not even just it's a disappointing like entry in the Cornetto trilogy. It's more of just I really, really don't like it. I just feel like it feels like it's too silly for me, but like it's like I think the problem I have with World's End is I really like the first half. You know, when it's like Simon Pegg's character and he wants to do that pub crawl with his mates, but they've all moved on and he hasn't. And I'm like, that's such an interesting story. That's such a great concept for a film. But then, like halfway through, it goes, no, it's about aliens now, and it's like, I just don't think it fits. I think that's my issue. My issue is that I really like the first half of the movie, and then it just completely changes dramatically, and I feel like that's why I can't get into it. I'm clearly in a minority here because a lot of people still do like this movie, but I don't know, man. It's just something about it I just didn't like, and I don't get it why. Maybe it doesn't help that I think I watched it not long after I saw Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, so that probably doesn't help. But yeah, it's definitely the weakest of the Cornetto trilogy, and I just really didn't like it as a movie. But never mind that. Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. These are two great movies. So again, these are made by Edgar Wright. Again, I mentioned him with the Ant-Man section. These movies are just fantastic. Like, they're just really funny. Like, they're funny and also like really well done. Like, this is like the perfect like sort of action movie parody because like they also make fun of all the parody of like all the action like segments and that, but also then do it. So it's a loving parody because it's clearly being done by people who love those kind of movies. I think a lot of parodies nowadays are really like sort of hateful and they're used to make fun of them and that's it. But this one's like it makes fun of them but also like loves them at the same time. Like it makes fun of them but then they do it in anyways. I don't know which one's my favourite. I would say maybe Hot Fuzz. I think Hot Fuzz is. Here's what I would say. I think Shaun of the Dead as a movie is better overall, but I think Hot Fuzz is funnier. If that makes sense. Like they're both. It would only be like by that margin that I would say that I would prefer Shaun of the Dead. But these two movies are so great. Both of them are just fantastic. If you have not seen any of these movies, if you've not seen either of these movies, 100% do it. It's really good. They are both fantastic. Oh yeah, fun fact about Hot Fuzz. I think Olivia Colman's in this movie, and it's like one of her like first film roles. I think she's probably done like TV before, like Peep Show and that, but this was like her first movie role. So it's kind of funny seeing like a future Oscar winner being like a sort of a lowbrow comedy like this. Maybe lowbrow is like not the right word, but like sort of a silly comedy, and then she went on to win an Oscar. But yeah, definitely watch these two movies. They're great. And last two movies for this section. I won't go too far into this because these are based on TV shows, and I've got the show on DVD, so I'll probably talk more about them like in general when I get to that section. And that's In-Betweeners movie 1 and 2. So yeah, In-Betweeners show is great. I'll talk more about that when I do my TV show DVDs. So I'll just slowly talk about the movies here. So first In-Betweeners movie I think is really funny. Like it's really good. I think it's a perfect conclusion to the series. I know that movie exists, but I'll get onto that. Yeah, it's a perfect conclusion. It's just really funny. Yeah, nothing much else to say. Like, it's hard to describe comedies because I just want to talk about the jokes, but then I kind of don't want to go too far into the jokes because, like if you talk, because then you're kind of spoiling the jokes. I mean, it's hard to explain jokes. I feel because you don't get the funniness of it. It's why you need to just see the jokes to enjoy them. But yeah, it's really funny, really good, and. Yeah, nothing much else to say there. Just you need to watch it. Don't watch this first. Watch the TV show first, and then you can watch this one. Inbetweeners 2, though. So I'm a bit mixed on this one. It's still funny. It's still got some good moments in it, but it's a bang of this didn't need to happen because like the first movie was the perfect conclusion, and then this one happened because that one made so much money. So if you remember in like. So this came out in like what, 2011, I want to say? 2011, it says right at the bottom there. I always hate when these movies don't tell you when they came out. But so yeah, 2011 that came out, and then it was so successful that it kind of started like a mini trend of every British TV show got a movie. So like, so I think between Puff and Pat got a movie, Mrs. Brown's Boys got a movie, Bad Education got a movie, Alan Partridge got a movie. Some were good, some were Mrs. Brown's Boys, and most of them are awful. Like Harry Hill the movie, I kind of have a soft spot for, but it's crap. Pudsey the movie, the dog from Britain's Got Talent, he got a movie, and that's apparently somehow even worse than Mrs. Brown's Boys. Keith Lemon, that is the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life, and that's not hyperbolic. That movie is horrific. That is terrible, and basically leading on to say that it was so successful that it led to Inbetweeners 2. And again, there's still some funny moments in there. There were some good moments in it, but overall, it's just nowhere near as funny as the first one. I would say that there's one good bit in this movie, and it's near the end when they're like stuck in the desert. I think that's really good. I think that's like, it's almost a surprisingly like serious scene. Like there's still jokes started around, but it's like one of the few times it's sort of taken seriously, and I like that. I actually quite like it when comedies go for a more serious scene sometimes. I almost feel like it makes the comedy like, it makes the moment more serious when you sort of drop the jokes a little bit and actually do sort of something serious. So I like that bit. But apart from that, it's just not a lot here. I mean, because they introduced so here's something that I sort of mentioned this. In Inbetweeners movie, the first Inbetweeners movie, they all get girlfriends. By this movie, all of them except for Simon has been dumped, and they really like Neil and Will. They're announcing that they've dumped their girlfriends or like they've been dumped or whatever. It's done off screen. There's like literally there's a deleted scene to mention why Will's single. And it's so weird. First off, why is it a deleted scene? That feels like it's a real big thing that should be in the movie. And secondly, like the way the movie was done, it felt like it was kind of a sweet relationship. So it's kind of annoying to find out that just the next movie comes out and they're just like, oh, they're just not in a relationship anymore. And Simon's girlfriend, like he's the only one who's still in a relationship, but they completely changed her character where she's now just like over the top, like sort of, what do you call it? Like, she doesn't want him talking to anyone else. She burns all his toys and all that. He destroys his jumpers and that. And it's like, this feels like a completely different character. This was not the sort of sweet one who was in the first movie. And it's because they obviously want him to break up with her. And it's just, so then again, this movie ends with them all, the first one ends with them all in relationships. Second movie ends with them all dumped. They're all single. And it feels like, just like, that doesn't feel like an ending. Like, the first one felt like an ending to the series. But this one, it almost feels like they were going to maybe do a third one, because it just feels like a weird way to end the franchise. Yeah, I feel like it was, again, first Inbetween movie is great. Only watch this one if you really want to. Like, I wouldn't say it's irredeemable. I think there are some fun moments in it, like I said, but overall, not as good as the first one.